Okay, so I've got to be honest with you. This is not a band I know a hell of a lot about. In fact, here in Australia, they didn't really make a mark on the charts at all. So I'm playing a little catch up on this particular group. But if there's 4 things that I've learned from my research, it's this. Number 1, there's a lot of love for this band across the world. Number 2, they've got a killer new album that's just come out. Number 3, they've been unfairly maligned by the mainstream media. Hello, Beavis and Butthead in particular. And number 4, this has been requested for me to check out with many thanks to Dovahdude. And it's been an absolutely wild journey. So, let's do it. Before you do, you know the request. Like, subscribe, comment and all that good stuff. Look, I cannot thank you all enough for checking out this little channel. I'm just sharing the love for B-sides and rare tracks, and it's great to know that there's people out there just like you who love it too. The last few weeks have definitely shown me that, without a doubt. In this episode, we're headed back to the hallowed hard rock and hair metal halls of 1988, when every little boy wants to learn to play guitar so he can pick up all the chicks and be a rock and roll star. Thanks, Bon Jovi. And into the fray comes a band who has it all. Expert musicianship, stellar songwriting, good looks, and 2 platinum-selling albums to boot. Yet, like I said, they copped their fair share of mostly unfair criticism. The band? Winger. Welcome to Should Have Been on the Album. The band Winger came out of New York City in 1986. However, Kip Winger had been playing around the traps for quite some time. He connected with producer Beau Hill and spent the early 80s sending demos to him, while also working for various artists such as Twisted Sister, Kix, and Rat. Later, Kip would be hired by Alice Cooper to perform on 2 albums, Constrictor and Raise Your Fist and Yell, and also tour with the legend. But soon, he was ready to form his own band. The band featured Kip Winger on lead vocals and bass, Reb Beach on guitars, Paul Taylor on keys and guitars, and Rod Morgenstein on drums. They had planned to name themselves Sahara, but changed just before their debut release, after discovering there was actually another band who had the same name. In August 1988, they released their debut album, the self-titled Winger, and it spawned 4 MTV hits, including Madalaine, 17, Headed for a Heartbreak, and Hungry. They'd go on to tour with Poison, The Scorpions, Cinderella, Bon Jovi, Tesla, and Skid Row, with the album going platinum in the US where it reached number 21 and gold in Canada. So already they were standing above the glut of 80s hard rock bands. And it's hard to understand why they would become the butt of jokes. Within 18 months, they released In the Heart of the Young, again capturing the charts with several singles including Can't Get Enough and Easy Come Easy Go. However, like many bands of their ilk, they couldn't survive the grunge invasion and disappeared after their 1993 album, Pull. The band would go on hiatus until 2001, when they reformed for The Very Best of Winger and a tour with Poison. But again, they'd take a break, until 2006, and since then they've been releasing albums and touring. Their latest offering, 7, has just been released to excellent reviews, and is definitely worth checking out. Winger is a band with an extensive catalogue of unreleased tracks, B-sides and rarities, but for today, we're checking out a song that was included as a bonus track on the Japanese release of their debut album, and was scrapped from the LP and cassette releases, but also appeared on the flip side of their hit Madalaine. The name of the song? Higher and Higher. Higher and Higher was written by Kip Winger and Reb Beach, and was recorded during the sessions for the first album, under the production eye of Beau Hill. In a time when CDs were becoming more and more mainstream, separate from vinyl and cassette, it was included as a CD-only bonus track, while also appearing on the flip side of Madalaine. I've always found the 80s bonus track thing kind of curious, but I guess it's a marketing ploy at selling multiple copies of the same album. And also back then to encourage people to buy the new format for music. Well, for that time. But it's very 1988. It was sometimes coupled with other bonus material including Never, another Winger rarity, and a live version of Madalaine. Further, it's interesting to read the YouTube comments on the song, and there's a lot of love for the track. Lyrically, we find the singer taking another guy under his wing while he recovers from a bad relationship. The problem is, it's damn hard to resist the siren's call. And no matter what you do, there's no way to win over a heart. Ultimately, you can't fight the desire, because even though you know you'll hit the ground, she'll still take you higher, higher. She'll live your dreams in the fast lane, taking you higher, higher. You can't fight it. It's about the ups and downs of love. Well, sort of. Musically, it's a muscular rocker, produced very much in the vein of the time. However, it does miss some of the more progressive instrumentation that is smattered across the rest of the Winger debut. Regardless, the standard of writing is better than many other bands, and so is the musicianship. There's a power and conviction in the delivery, and the chorus is a classic crowd sing-along anthem. The guitar solo is absolutely blinding. Look, it's a great song, and I can understand why people hold it in such high regard. So, should Higher and Higher been given a Guernsey on the actual album, and not just been a bonus track or a B-side? For sure. The question is, what goes? Well, that is an easy pick. The album certainly has its high points, but the low points are clear. One of them being the ill-advised reworking of Hendrix's Purple Haze. I'm not sure of the thinking here. Maybe it's because they were able to bring in some special guests for the track? But the Winger version just seems out of place on the rest of the album. Mike Lando says, what should have been deleted, because they already had enough original material, is a cover of Jimmy's Purple Haze. This is dreadful, overplayed, oversexed, with the only saving grace being a guitar battle with Reb Beach on one side and Dweezil Zappa on the other. Sputnik Music says that the cover is completely groove and soulless. Even AllMusic.com calls the Winger version an overdone, tight-assed, totally misguided recasting. Oof! Now, you could throw a few demerit points at Poison Angel too, but to be honest, it's not that bad. It just tends to tread a path well worn by a million other bands, and the chorus doesn't quite cut it. Still, I'm going for keeping the originals in favour of any covers. Higher and Higher could easily slip into the end of side one in place of Purple Haze. And maybe if the record company really wanted a bonus track, well, that's what they could do with Purple Haze. Thanks for checking out the Winger album with me. So, are you a fan of the band, or are you, like me, checking them out for the very first time? I must admit, as a new listener to the album, I found some of it sounding a little like Rat. Time to Surrender is an example. But I put that down to Hill's production, and it certainly doesn't detract from the overall quality of the release. If you have any rare cunts that you think I should check out, whack them in the comments below, and like this video, it might just become the next episode. But until next time, my name is Drew, and you have been watching Should Have Been on the Album. Cheers.